This is the 8-9 combo. I am Brett McKay, and it's a big how's it to the co-host of the new #1 rugby podcast in Germany, to Harry Jones. Hello, mate.
How's it? Ja, wir gehen wandern im Schwarzwald. Shout out Baden-Baden. Baby, was ist los? But seriously, Brett, what does the letter P stand for, as my coach Portito would say, province? What does the letter P stand for, boys? Do you have any idea? And that reminds you, this is a family show. Not that word, dirty Bretty. Come on. No, and it's not prop Petrus Duplessis who propped with his son over the weekend for South. No. The 6 P's of rugby.
Yep.
We have pace, we have power, we have precision, and we have the presence and the prescience to handle the pressure. As we saw in the big Champions Cup final, there was a lot of power and pace, but there was sometimes a lot of precision lacking because people couldn't handle the pressure. But the one guy who could, and we have to shout out to Antoine Dupont, I call him the power half. He's not really a precise scrum half. His pass is a little bit wonky, but he plays the position almost like an extra loose forward and a bit of a cover back. It's maybe an interesting digression in rugby. But anyway, I felt like over the weekend, all these big matches were settled by who could handle the pressure in the big moments. Yeah. There's plenty of power and pace on display now in rugby.
Yeah. And we're at the pointy end of several seasons now. So, that's only going to be manifest further over the next few weeks.
And Leinster might have liked a guy like Andre Pollard, because I think he would have slotted that drop goal, and then the whole conversation is different. We're not talking about how incredible, Toulouse is. Leinster could have snuck that.
They could have. We will discuss the Champions Cup final. It was a fantastic game that it was. We'll certainly discuss that properly. Good. I'm glad you're turning the cap around because I really can't take you serious with the brim out front. It is episode 16 of the 8-9 Combo Rugby Podcast. All thanks to the Sports Social Podcast Network and available all across the pod platforms. And we would love you to like, follow, subscribe, review, please, rate, share, all of that sort of stuff. So let's take off down the short side for another week, mate, with our cheers and jeers to kick things off. And a cheers for you this week is just simple analog red beats blue. And the omens were there across the weekend. The patterns played out beautifully, with red proving too good for blue game after game. And it started with the Crusaders, red, upsetting the Blues in Auckland. So fair. Then the Queensland actual Reds dispatched of the very blue Western Force in Brisbane. Then we head to London, where Toulouse in red proved way too strong in extra time for the very, very blue of Leinster in the Champions Cup final. On Sunday, we head to Tokyo, where the Toshiba Brave Lupus toppled the undefeated Saitama Panasonic Wild Knights.
I was shocked by that.
In blue to take the Japan League One title on Sunday. And if that's not enough for you, we had Manchester United knocking over Manchester City in the FA Cup final. So there you go. Red beats blue.
That's very weird. Yeah. The great writer Stendhal wrote The Red and the Black, but now we have to have a new sequel called The Red and the Blue. I saw this trend developing online, and it was very weird to me. I mean, I wanted to give the guys at Gainline Analytics a call and weave that into the patterns of like colorblindness or something. So I'm on Jeers this week.
Yep, hit me.
So the one jeer is all to all of us, because I think we wrote the Crusaders off about 3 weeks in a row, and they're still alive.
In fairness, we held off writing them off for 2 months.
We just have to calm down. The second jeer is the commentators, the hype machine during the Champions Cup, who by the end I think had named 26 of the players to the World 15. And I think there were 14 in the all-time team. I mean, at some point, there were 2 scrum-offs that were the best scrum-offs who had ever played.
Who had ever played the game. Yeah.
As you pointed out, I think online, there was a lot of sloppy passes. There was frantic manicness, which is what a final should be, by the way. The passion, the missing piece. My jeer, though, goes to New Zealand. Not to New Zealand in particular. I'm actually praising the New Zealand Union, the NZRPA, the union that's saying to New Zealand Rugby.
The players union.
Could we, if we pay for the Pilkington, it's all about P's, the Pilkington review, if we pay for this and it's really solid and it addresses governance and it says it's not a tool fit for purpose, can we just follow the recommendations instead of doing what so many bodies do, so many boards do, is pay for a big thing. They all agree on at the time it's great. And then about 6 months later, someone's ox got gored and they go, but what if we just stay status quo? So
what about if we just pop that down the bottom drawer and just forget about it?
So the jeer is when people portray that as money-grubbing players trying to go on strike to get what they want. What Richie McCaw basically said is, come on, don't make it invisible. Mr. Invisible says this. Let's read the review and just put the review into practice.
Which is the point of recommendations that were accepted at board.
Very expensive ones too.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Would that review have been ordered by purchase order?
Yes. Procured. It was procurement.
Procured. Yes, indeed. Looking forward to this week's guest, mate. Another returning guest we've spoken to a couple of times, and who would no doubt much rather be in action again heading into the finals. He's up next. He's up right now. In fact, I'm a little bit concerned for this week's guest. We've spoken to him every year since we started this rugby podcast thing, and on both previous occasions, he was absolutely braining it for Queensland. Enjoyed significant support for a Wallabies inclusion, yet in all that time, he's only played one test. So it's with a good degree of trepidation for what us handing out an 8-9 debut might mean in the coming weeks when a Wallaby squad is named, that we welcome back Reds back rower Harry Wilson. Harry. I'm sorry, mate. Apologies in advance. You're doomed for the year now.
No, thanks for having me. I think this is my third year on it. So
seems first on this banner. You're back for your annual review, so. your annual appearance, mate. So,
and Harry, this is the only podcast in the world based on a number 8. I mean, half of it is. So, it fits you to a T. You can just be your true number 8 on the show.
It's the 8-8-9 combo.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm not sure about the 9-bit, but I like the 8-bit.
Well, that's all we've got time for, Harry. Sorry, mate. We'll talk to you next year. How can we definitely rule out you speaking to us for your limited international minutes over the last 2 years? Can we categorically rule that out?
Wasn't our fault.
Sure. Yeah, no. It's definitely not your guys' fault. It's me here. Need to keep my consistent performance week in, week out. But obviously, I've always been very hopeful, I guess, for the opportunity to, put on the gold jersey, and I guess at least I've got to put it on once. But hopefully this year and in the future, I get to put it on a little bit more times.
Well, for our benefit, as much as yours as well.
Yeah, there was another guy named Jones that had something to do with that non-selection for the World Cup.
There was that.
Listen, man, I've watched your game kind of evolve over this almost our 3 appearances on the pod, and you were always a top carrier. But I think as we talked about, as your pants got less tight and you started carrying more tight, you're not mixing up. You're a gain line carrier. You're still top carrier even now with the missed matches. Right now, you go to the stats, you're the top carrier in Super Rugby. Still. That's how big a carrier you are. But I think the carries are different now. Aren't you carrying in different places? Your offloads are higher, and I think you have 13 offloads for the season. Is that something you're consciously doing, or is Les Kiss and the Reds kind of pushing you into a different spot?
It's definitely something I've been trying to, I guess improve, because it's obviously carrying the ball is all good, but it probably depends on how well you carry, how much you get over the gain line. And I guess for me, Les Kiss gave me a lot of confidence this year to back my skills, which for me is obviously first and foremost got to carry well, but a late tip at the line to put the other people in better positions. And I think when I was probably a bit younger, an offload was one of the biggest strengths in my game, which I'd sort of gone away from. And I guess being able to offload is when you sort of go to the advantage line and get the hands free. And with, I guess, all the boys running really good lines this year off me has sort of enabled me to, I guess back my skills a little bit. And I've loved the year so far. And it's disappointing to be out there now, but pumped for the boys in the coming weeks.
The casual fan is always yelling at a guy like you in the carry to see the offload. But of course, when you're actually carrying, there's not much you can see Even Artie Surveyor was talking over the weekend on a pod I saw, and he said, I'm just scared coming around the corner. I'm going to get smashed. So how do you know that Fraser McWright's on the shoulder? Is that from calls? Is that just from habit? Do you just know, just feel that he's going to be there?
Yeah, I guess just from a lot of years playing footy together, and I think something we've really worked on this year is the communication when you are getting around the corner or sort of before the defensive line's ready. So it's not as if he's screaming for the ball. He sort of says, "I'm here." That's all he needs to really say. And then for me, it's about trying to manipulate the defensive line as well as I can to sort of get him into space. And it does help when you do have someone like Fraser, who you always know he's there because he's got an absolute engine on him, and he knows how to sniff out a try from anywhere. So it's definitely very handy that Fraser's always there.
Talk to us, mate, about Les Kiss, because the point that I sort of scribbled down here is that it's largely the same Red squad from last year, but you're playing very, very differently across the board, sideline to sideline, 1 to 23. So what's the Les Kiss principle that is so different to how Brad Thorne had you guys playing last year?
It is. We have played a lot different brand of footy, and I think it's probably just from him instilling a lot of confidence in us to back our skills. Because if you do look at our team, especially our back line, we have people with tremendous skills, and he just lets them back himself and just instills that confidence in them to back their skills. And we've really enjoyed him. Even every game we have a few new plays for every team, which sort of excites us, and we all really delve into do a million walkthroughs through it, so we have it all nailed. And there's nothing better when you see a 3-phase sort of play, go well on the weekend. So he has a fair few changes up to our attack, off the set piece, and we've all really enjoyed it.
But your set piece game is still really strong though. Queensland is scoring maul tries for fun now, to the point where Reds fans have had to shut up criticising the Brumbies about only being able to score one way. So, Matt Fessler's one of the leading try scorers in the competition. Not all of Fraser's tries have been run in. He's hopped on the back of a maul as well. So you've got that set piece foundation about you now this year.
Yeah, exactly. I think when Zane Hilton, our forwards coach, he came back from Japan, and he's been awesome for us. And Jonathan Fisher, who's come over from London Irish. Jonathan Fisher's really looked after our breakdown and sort of our forwards attack in our sort of pod systems. But what Zane's brought to our maul has been awesome. I don't think we've let a try in so far, which is been through his detail he has. We all know our roles, every single scenario. We've walked through it at training, and so everyone's got such good clarity there. And then the feeling of scoring a maul try is something he speaks so passionate about, and as a playing group, our forwards group, we really we love seeing him on a Monday after we score a maul try and don't let a maul try in. And he's given us the techniques and the knowledge of what to do now, and we all go head first into it, and it's been a big weapon for the Reds this year.
A classic case, Harry, of an Australian coach who got his start, went over to Japan, came back as a better coach, and Zane Hilton is going to be a very good coach in time. He is now.
There's a lot of good things happening in Japan. Part of it is the way the training happens there, that it's in a factory, almost machine setting. You have more time to work with the players. And I think there's more ability to try things without it being criticized, because there's not really a Monday morning furor in the media. But Harry, I was thinking about the changes, because I think Brett's right on. There's changes, and I was wondering about the coaching crew itself. What I see is your ruck cleaning is better. The ruck connect is better on your carries. You're not isolated as much. You're flattening guys. You're taking people beyond the ruck and sitting on them, and you're forcing people off their feet onto the ground. And that created that quick ball of the Reds throughout the year. Is that something you guys worked hard on? It is to keep your ruck speed high, because I keep seeing in any of the losses the ruck speed's slow, and on your wins you have like lightning.
Yeah, we worked very hard on that. That's been Jonathan Fisher, the other sort of forwards coach. That's been his role. And from the start of preseason, we're doing 10, 15-minute blocks pretty much every day, working on that. And even, off the field in our walkthroughs, we do 20 minutes a day of little techniques to use. And And I think with especially like when you have Tate McDermott at 9 and our 5'8", our centers, if we create quick ball, that's when they're at their best. So we've definitely changed it up and tried to manipulate different ways to create quick ball. And exactly that, when we've played our best footy, it's been quick ball. Once teams have slowed us down and have slowed our ball down, we've played some of our worst footy. So I thought, like on the weekend against Western Force, we really wanted to, I guess, fix our breakdown up after Fiji did a really good job. And the forward pack, I'm pretty sure, was our best percentage of pace of ball we've had all season. And you look at us put on 59 points. So that's really set the platform for us.
Your bounce back stats, there's a stat in some sports about bounce back. Your games post a loss have been the best. Is that where Les gets into his best? Is that when he can really teach you guys something on the heels of a loss?
Yeah, well, I guess they're really good on, I guess, rather than just getting into us after a loss, it's about how do we get better and how do we not make the same mistake twice. And obviously this year we've been really good at, I guess, winning a couple of games and then having a quite disappointing loss. So that's probably something which we want to get better at, is our consistent, just try and find consistent ways to continue to winning, because that's what the top 4 teams done all year. And but the way we've been bounced back, it hasn't been doing more work at training. It's just been about getting our fundamentals right, which is, I guess, dominant carries, use your skills, create quick ball, and then everything else is on top of that.
The Force game, mate, had you guys identified that as a bit of a danger game? Because I mean the rivalry is nice and healthy, but that's the sort of game that has maybe brought you guys undone in recent years. So it sort of had that danger element to it, looking from the outside in.
Yeah, definitely. The coaches were very passionate last week. We lost them in the trial game and lost them over there. So for us, we had a bit of a point to prove. And and obviously after a loss in Fiji, we really wanted to bounce back, and we really wanted to, I guess, as a forward pack, try and really, I guess, dominate the game, because we felt as if we'd probably let the team down a little bit in Fiji, where we felt all season we've been very consistent. But I guess that's been the key theme for us is, I guess, you're not trying to strive to be perfect in every area. It's just if you're around 7 or 8 in every area, it's going to be a long way to winning the game. And I thought that was on a weekend the boys bounced back against Force, who have been playing some really good footy over the past fortnight. So we knew they were playing for a final spot, and they'd be out trying to start fast. And I guess the way we started with just getting up there, getting some points, 3, 6, 9, it was and then scoring all the points after, it was awesome.
Yeah. What sort of a rugby watcher are you, mate? You're obviously out of action at the moment. You were showing us the forearm guard before you
took it off.
You just there you go. It was our listeners are just going to have to take our word for it. It looked pretty gnarly. What sort of a watcher are you? Are you calm? Are you animated? I'd be stunned if you tell us that you're actually quite relaxed watching a game of rugby.
I am a bit of a terrible watcher. There is, I guess, nothing more than I hate is, I guess, watching a game play, which, you could be out there, I guess, competing in. But I probably am a pretty relaxed watcher. It was a bit of an easier one for us on the weekend, just seeing the way the boys went about the business. But I guess when I was watching the Fiji game against us, I was holding back some I guess, screaming the TV, because I was watching for about 100 Reds fans at the Jubilee. So I think that made me, I guess, be straight down the line there.
When we put out the press that we're going to have someone on our pod, and it's always interesting what followers tell us to talk to you about. And the predominant thing for me was, tell Harry we miss him. So the Reds fans are dying to have you back. Any idea on when that would be? How's it coming along? And do you think it's possible for you to come back during finals?
Yeah, it's going well. I'm about 2.5 weeks, I guess, post surgery now, and I'm sure if my surgeon said, if he heard me say, "Oh, I'm trying to get back for, I guess, the remaining few games," he might lose it. But I guess for me, it's me. I'm just taking it week to week. It's about probably a 6 to 8 week injury, and about 2.5 weeks post surgery, and it's just really, I guess, about how the bone heals, and the way it's going right now is really well. And I guess there is nothing more I'd love to say. I'll be back for, I guess, the grand final or something. But
that'd be so dramatic if you ran on.
Wouldn't it though? Yeah, 6 weeks is just neat for the week of the final, isn't it? So
player 20 runs on.
Oh, hell of a comeback.
No, but it's I definitely won't be rushing anything because if they get there, the boys have done a good job without me. So I'm just trying to help them out any way I can at the moment. It's what Les has been really good about because he knows how much it's hurting me and not being involved. And after being involved quite heavily throughout the year, and he's just, I guess, around the sheds, trying to help everyone out as much as you can and just try and be a real positive influence on everyone.
So what are you putting in tackle bags before you stand them up and make sure that they run into them? What's the go-to? Is it bag of rocks or like you got to be putting something in there?
No, nothing in there. Just let them go themselves.
No. Your secret safe with us. Gotcha.
How did you actually hurt the arm? What was the actual impact and injury?
It was one of the off the sideline, sort of in the pod carry, and the bloke was up high in the sort of late dip, and then I tried to I sort of tried to hit him, and then I think I hit it was either his head or shoulder, and it was
so just sort of straight T-bone type thing.
Yeah, and then I sort of I thought I was just hoping it was a dead arm, so I sort of played on for a little bit longer, and then I made a half break and then tried to place the ball back, and I realised I couldn't move my arm to get the ball back, and I was like, I probably should go off the field now pretty quickly.
Straight fracture, or is it like a crack or a compound or what?
It's just generally a clear snap of the arm, which is actually which I've been told is probably a better scenario because I've had surgery and put a plate in there, which would make it hopefully stronger, and it was a quicker sort of turnaround too, which definitely excited me at that point.
Yeah, I bet it did.
And you get to go in the airport much quicker for the rest of your life. You just skip, you go around the side.
Yeah. They give you a card, don't they? I've got titanium in my arms. Oh, right, right this way then. Is that how it works for you?
The rest of my life, you'll be getting stopped and getting checked, and I guess they got old arm. I have to explain it a million times now.
You're just gonna have to beep for the rest of your life now, aren't you? The flip side of it is that it sort of didn't really look like they missed you on the weekend. Seru Uru sort of turned the clock back a bit at number 8, didn't he?
Uru.
Seru didn't probably play number 8. He played second row.
Oh, he did too. Who am I thinking
of? But the back row, like John Bryant, Fraser, and Rongers, they played superb together. They all just did their job really well, and obviously Fraser got all the rewards there. But I thought the way Rongers played with his, I guess, getting our line out more and obviously breakdown work was awesome. And I thought John Bryant did a really good job with, I guess, getting the starter players there. And it was really good for everyone to have Seru back too. He's such a key member of our team, and he offers that little bit of X factor with ball in hand. And he got through a lot of work, and it was good to see him back out there after a little spell.
You know, the composition of the back rows around the world, you look at it, it's actually very flexible. It's one of the few areas in rugby where you can kind of mix and match a little bit. And Joe Schmidt's done that. Like when he coached Ireland, he had CJ Stander as an 8. He wasn't really a traditional 8. Certainly coming up, it wasn't a big 8. And they could play 6 or 8 or 7 or 8. You look at now, Kwacha, Sia, you look at Courtney Laws, Ben Earl, Olivon for France. There's just a lot of, even Artie at 8. It's kind of, there's a lot of mixing going on. And so my mission to have more Harrys and Wallabies, and have you particularly, is you can shift that around, right? You can play 6. Bobby V can play 6. I mean, all these guys at club level are doing some of that. Do you think that is the way to pick a loose forward core, a cadre, is to have your best 5 or 6 guys, and then you can horses for courses? Or do you think of a specialized 8, a specialized 7, and a specialized 6?
Yeah, I guess from my experience, I don't think they're like, I'm really about probably trying to pick the sort of best players, because I believe like you could be wearing the number 8 on your jersey, but your role in the team could be a 6 sort of role. It's sort of depends who's going to be out on the line out, sort of the carrying role, and then the other person will be in the line out. So it's all about mix and matching, and then you obviously see teams who have big 7s and ball carrying 7s or like fetchers. It's I guess it's forever. I guess whoever the team's versing is sort of a way you can sort of mix and match it too. And I guess it definitely has gone away from just having a traditional, I guess, ball carrying 8 tall line out 6 and a small on-ball fetcher, I guess, at least over here at the moment.
Well, even like Jack Willis on the weekend, I don't know if you get to see any of that championship final, but it was one of the great performances. He was almost like Peter Jack Du Willis. He was out there. The 29 tackles or 41, depending on which stat desk. It was ridiculous, but I think it was 29, by the way.
Well, I saw 30 neat as well. So
yeah. So
there you go.
I mean, he played 6. 6 was on his back, but he played like an 8. I thought the whole game he was an 8. He
spent a fair amount of time on the ball too. So he was he was doing a bit of everything.
I just don't know if it's formulaic anymore with the 6, 7, 8. There's so many locks playing 6. There's I mean, and I think like for sure in South African setup, you have Kwacha or Sia that could play 8. I think Sia might play 8 this year. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Obviously, Joe Schmidt has said he needs a heavy carrier. He's always had a carrier in his pack, and he always said, "No, I'm picking CJ forever because he can handle 15 carries a game. Not everyone can." How do you Harry handle so many carries a game? I think you've been top carrier 3 seasons in a row.
Yeah, well, I guess for me, it's just been probably my core role for Queensland Reds, and I've been, I guess, very aware that if I can do my job, which is carry the ball a lot of times and get us on the front foot, I know it'd be give us the best chance on winning. And I guess everyone likes carrying. It's not as if it is a punishing thing to do. Sometimes it is when you're running into a brick wall, but it's just a part of your job. And no, exactly. But I guess everyone's got their roles, and you see there's some people who'll hit the breakdown a ridiculous amount of times, and I feel like that's the same amount of energy you have to do that to, I guess, doing 15 carries. And I guess the more games you do it, the more your body just gets used to the contact, and the more enjoyable it gets.
Has Fraser beefed up a little bit? Has he added some kgs?
He looks like he has.
Yeah, no, he has. I think he's taken some learnings from 2023 of where he can improve his game, and he's definitely come back a little bit heavier this year. And gee whiz, he's played some good footy. It's not as it's not as if he's lost his work rate or his
step.
My dog in the back line, or his work rate around the field or anything. He's just a bit heavier, stronger in contact, and I think that's probably an example this year. He's been a little bit heavier, but he's been taking some of those tough carries off the sideline and getting some of the front foot too, which has sort of, I guess, helped everyone with their roles. It's been awesome for us.
What's his bench press like, Fraser? Can he bench his weight?
He can. He's got those short arms. His arms only made to. The only time his arms feel long is when he's pilfering. He seems to always get the ball back, but he can pump out a lot of weight now. Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to stick a break there. That's good. That's good. Harry, we've got a really intriguing last round of Super Rugby Pacific ahead of us this weekend. I mean, Queensland's job's easy. You're going to finish 5th, rain, hail, or shine, win, lose, or draw this weekend. How do you see the final round playing out though elsewhere? Is there an upset, or is there a curveball somewhere that we need to look into a bit deeper?
Yeah, I guess it's pretty cool to see. I think is there 3 or 4 teams who were still able to get into that final spot in the in the 8, and obviously if there's some results, you could see, I guess, Brumbies slip to the top there too. So I'd find it. I'd be surprised if, I guess, Fiji Drua don't get the job done over there. They'll be they'll be very fired up to go into another final series, and they're hard to beat there too. So, but yeah, there's some awesome games of footy. I guess for Queensland, we're sort of coming 5th at the moment and can't go any higher. So it's sort of awesome to get the boys to have an opportunity versus New South Wales Waratahs, which is obviously an annual sort of grudge match for us. So it's not as if it's a game the boys won't be super sharp for. I know at training today, everyone was up and about, knowing there's an opportunity to try and beat New South Wales.
Is this the week you get reminded of you actually being from Gunnedah?
Gunnedah's in Queensland, isn't it?
Yeah, righto. Yeah, no, you've been there long enough. You've obviously been indoctrinated nicely.
Border ambiguities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gunnedah's only about 2 hours south of the border too, Harry Baldy, for the record. Does it make your jobs easier for the next two weeks? You mentioned New South Wales, but you will play the Chiefs. in the first week of the finals. So, does it make life a bit easier knowing that this is what we've got to do now for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm sure for the coaching staff, it's really making their job a little bit easier because they get so much more time to, I guess, prepare for them. But I know as a playing group, it's not really flustering them at the moment. I guess we know we've got 4 away games hopefully to come. So we're just going to have to get on with it this week and then go into Chiefs and just try and enjoy, I guess, playing away from home and trying to get some really, I guess, big results our way. So it's I know the boys take it really week to week, but I know it'll help definitely help the coaching staff having the extra days to prepare for them.
Yeah, no doubt. Who don't you want to play in a knockout game?
Yeah, well, I guess it would probably have to be one of the top 2 teams. It's the Hurricanes when we versed them earlier in the year. I definitely think we let the game slip against them. We had it there and we lost in extra time, but I guess they were probably the most physical team we versed all year. The way I guess their loose forward trio were going at it, their big pack. So that's always going to be a tough one for the boys. But it's also, I guess, one which I know we've sort of probably played our best footy this year is against Kiwi teams. So, but I'd say the Blues or the Hurricanes. I don't know, the boys wouldn't mind also being able to verse the Brumbies too to hopefully get that back. But it's such an even top 4 there. There's 4 quality teams. So
yeah, it's pretty exciting though. Do you get really up to you play a guy like Sotutu and Papali and Ione? I mean, it must get you kind of excited in those kind of games to go up against those boys.
Yeah, I love it. There's I love versing Kiwi teams. They've sort of been, I guess, the best teams in our comp for quite a while now, and they also play the best brand of footy, ball in play, physical, throw it around a bit, and it's sort of, I guess we've always sort of got probably the underdog status, and we want to go out there and prove a point. So it's something which has been nice for Queensland this year. We've had a pretty bad record in the past, and we fixed it up this year, and we potentially could have been a little bit better if we'd had a few, I guess, last minute results go against us. But I guess we've taken those learnings, and hopefully in the finals the boys can learn from them.
Who's the best Kiwi sledger? Who's got the good trash talking in rugby?
Honestly, there hasn't been too much sledging this year. We're not going out of our way to sledge. I think maybe in the past you get. Honestly, I haven't heard much sledging this year, which is
maybe that's another sign that the gap's closing. That if the Kiwis are if they're a bit quieter, then
it's got to be the nines, man. It's got to be the nines. TJ
It's got to be the nines.
He wasn't back for when we versed him, so
true.
Yeah, potentially him, but
no. TJP still he has his sledging
playing some really good footy
with the referees.
He's focused on the ref. You're right.
He's on the referees. Yeah, he's looking for real change there. So it's no time to line up for the Australians. Who are you facing the final then?
Well, I haven't worked out the draw, but
he doesn't all the permutations. He's got a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I haven't got all of them yet. Yeah.
But so Brett, don't you have to rely on the Blues to do something for you?
The Brumbies can finish first if the Blues and Hurricanes lose this weekend, and obviously the Brumbies beat the Force in Perth. But yeah, so that Brumbies can finish first. They can finish top 2 if either of those lose.
Okay. And who did the Blues play? Chiefs?
Blue have the Chiefs. Yes, Blues have the Chiefs. Hurricanes have the Highlanders.
Oh, don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I'm going to say Brumbies for Australian rugby's purposes.
Yeah.
So nice. 2 Aussie teams. That would be good.
Well, Highlanders are coming up. They're getting better every week. So, yeah, it's interesting. The Kiwi teams tend to have a Hunger Games at the end and just cannibalize each other.
Well, and let's hope so. Yeah, Kiwi Hunger Games. That's a great idea. Can we organise that each year, maybe?
Barry, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you one question about the Eddie Jones era. How did you find out that you were or were not in the squad and then not going to France?
It was obviously not the best era for me there, but I had I guess for the original squad, I had a little phone call from him, and then which was a nice 1 minute quick chat, and then I had a few missed calls for the actual World Cup squad or the one before it, and I tried to call him back a few times and didn't get onto him. So that was sort of, I guess,
the missed calls at 3 a.m.
Yeah. No, one of them was at pretty late time. I was fast asleep, and then my phone actually died for a day, which wasn't ideal, and I tried a few times. But
I mean, but to be fair,
I
Harry,
sort of knew I wasn't going to be there anyway.
To be fair, Harry, he was calling you from Japan, so the time.
Imagine 24 hours later saying, "Well, we tried to pick Harry Wilson, but we just have not been able to get him, so we pulled in someone else."
Actually, it might have been the campaign to miss.
Imagine missing a World Cup squad because your battery's dead.
So
I mean, the lesson there is to always stay charged in July.
Yeah, true.
In August, isn't it?
Yeah. But career-wise, this World Cup lays out perfectly an age, for the length of time. Like you say, you keep adding skills. You're getting better all the time. In my opinion, you're getting better all the time. I think you're hitting rucks too, cleaning that out, and that's always going to be good for Joe. Are you pretty optimistic about getting into the picture, and what do you think you still have to work on to make sure that it's a easier pick?
Yeah, I guess I'm always, pretty optimistic. I've been happy with the footy I've played this year, and I do feel as if I'm improving, and would love to get back in there. And I guess for me, probably one of my big work-ons this year, which I felt I have improved a lot, is I guess my defence, sort of trying to get more dominant tackles and be a real, just trying to slow their ruck ball down as much as I could in defence. And that's something which I've worked on a lot with our assist coach, Brad Davis, and I feel as if it's grown quite a lot. And I know if I can keep doing that, it's only going to, I guess, help my opportunity to hopefully get back into the test frame, and obviously keep trying to work on attack, not to be too predictable, and have a few different options. And I guess set piece wise, I guess for me, it's every sort of facet of my game I want to keep working on, because I just would love to get back there.
Have you spoken to Joe, or have you had feedback or message coming back from him to you?
Yeah, I've spoken to him a couple of times, which has been nice, and which has been positive. I guess for me, just after probably a tough couple of years, so it was nice to hear, and he's gave me a few work-ons a little while ago, which I definitely was working quite hard on, wanting to fix them up. And I guess I've spoken to him.
Yeah, he's pretty specific, isn't he, Harry? Yeah. He's a guy that gives you specific things to work on as opposed to generalities.
Yeah, but it was pretty specific, but he has been quite big on this year. Is probably different to the past. We haven't been getting too many messages from above. I think in the previous years there's been a fair few mini camps and throughout the year, and I guess a lot of messages from a few different of the coaching staff, where this year there's been no mini camps. It's just been really trying to perform week in, week out for your super team, and I guess that's what he wants to see is just consistent performances, and that's something which I think there has been from many players, I guess, with the bit more success in the from the Aussie teams in Super Rugby this year.
Is there a feeling within the Queensland squad that because Les has worked with Joe before that he'll be flying the flag for you guys as much as he can?
I guess it's not something we've really spoken of. I guess the only thing it probably would help us is, I'm sure Les's football would be, the sort of football he plays would be quite similar to maybe the way Joe plays, but I guess there hasn't been much discussion about that. Everyone's been just so focused on Reds. I think in the past people have been talking about, I guess, the Wallaby setup and I guess caring a lot about it, but I know from where we are right now, the boys are just so laser focused on week in, week out. And I think that's just from the enjoyment everyone has had this year, and I guess the belief in the group that we can really take a positive step this year and try and really go up the ladder.
On those on dominant tackles, Harry, I was talking to a guy for the Sharks. Actually, I won't reveal his name, but he was saying he'd always run really good lines on attack. He'd always run really good lines on attack like you do all the time. And he said dominant tackles is actually very similar. It's different lines, but it's picking the right line to the ribs, like finding the ribs at the right time. It's timing, but it's also coming at a different, if you're just lining up behind the ruck, set, man to man, you're not really going to get too many dominant tackles on a guy like Bobby V or Satutu. But if you get him on the side, so anyway, that's the tip
just
of the
find
week.
Semi-penny Finau on a number 10 just around the corner and just smacking
a lot of the dominant tackles
that's
come.
How you do it.
The surprise. I mean, the carrier doesn't see it coming. I guess that's the key.
Yeah. True. Correct. New South Wales, mate. To wrap it all up, the rivalry is never going to go away, and I know how much the Brumbies obviously love getting up for New South Wales, but I sort of have always had the impression that Queensland actually don't mind revving themselves up to take on New South Wales as well.
Yeah, no, it's always a week where everyone gets pretty excited for. We're playing for the Bob Templeton Cup, which is something which is in our hands now, and we definitely don't want to give it to them. And I know from our experience earlier in the year, Les did a really good job, and I guess getting the boys building through the week and getting everyone, I guess, frothing for the game by game time, and he definitely got us all up ready to rumble. So it's always an exciting week, and I could see it at training today. The boys were all pumped for it, and I guess being able to miss out on a Reds v Waratahs week has been probably my first for a while, and it's definitely hurting that little bit more.
Could you ever see yourself in the future as a coach, Harry?
Do you know what? I thought you were genuinely going to say, do you ever see yourself playing for New South Wales? I was like, New South Wales after all.
Maybe down the track it's something which I definitely would be interested in, just because rugby is my passion, and it's something I've spent doing so much of my life. And I guess for me, probably the high level coaching of that wouldn't interest me as much, but definitely in some sort of, I guess, schoolboy level, club level, it definitely does really interest me.
Fair. Looked like you got to update your LinkedIn page, mate, and just start working on that now.
Yeah, I'll just put you guys as my little.
Yeah, no, we'll be good for you.
Through.
Yeah. No, we'll endorse some recommendations.
The worst ways to spend a life than to do, to coach rugby at, schoolboy level. Everyone I know that does it loves it. They love going to work every day. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're working full time, and it's just without the pressure. Look, mate, exactly. best of luck with the rehab. The timing is going to be tight. I think from an Australian point of view, I think I'd probably say maybe don't rush back. But from an Australian point of view, if the Reds are the last team standing, then I don't know, maybe do rush back. I don't know. Don't take that as medical advice. Whatever you do.
The Reds fans love you, and they want you back as soon as possible. But of course, with a RoboCop arm, with some kind of reinforcement.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I just hope the rehab goes well, mate, and hope you're fit and firing soon enough. Is the best advice we can give you. We'll talk to you again soon, hopefully.
Sounds good. Thanks very much for having me, and I guess hopefully I can break the curse and play some good footy in the second half of the year.
Yeah, yes, please, if you wouldn't mind, for our sake. For our sake, this is. There's no curse.
No, thanks, guys.
Hey, do you want?
This is the 8-9 Combo Rugby Podcast with Brett McKay and Harry Jones. And, mate, fantastic to have Harry Wilson back on. Love every year. I enjoy the chat.
Yeah, I love Harry. Unassuming guy. Hard player. I think it's interesting whenever you say someone's going to be on, what the reactions are. It's all positive. Everyone from Queensland, but also abroad. Like, I love that guy. He's a good guy. And I think it's because he plays rugby the way most of us believe we should have played, did play, or want to play, which is he's just all in, man. I really hope he can get back. And I think sometimes for a heavy carrier like that, an enforced break, even if I'm sure he's hating it, can be really good for your career.
Absolutely. And like a little break now, if that's the difference between him playing 75 80 minutes in September or November in Europe, then that's going to be.
And you have as a player though is when you're out, you're like, oh, no, I hope I'm still in mind. So what's nice to hear and gave us was that Joe is communicating and telling him what to work on. I think all the good coaches now are really good at that.
And communicating directly.
Is apparently very good at telling a player, okay, I would have picked you, but you got to do this, this, and this.
Yeah. Communicating directly is the thing I picked up in all that. It's not necessarily coming through the forwards coach or the breakdown coach or whatever.
Or the conveniently timed missed calls. Oh yeah, there were 3 missed calls. There were 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and yeah, nice.
Fully charged battery. That's the lesson there, kids. If you're awaiting squad selection, make sure your phone's charged. Mate, let's head around the grounds and touch on some talking points from the weekend.
I'm eager to hear what you thought about some of these big smash up championship games.
Yeah. We'll quickly just sort of flick through Super Rugby for a second, and the thing to take in there is that right at this point in time, going into round 15 this weekend, is that only 4th, 5th, and 12th are locked in, which I think in a 12-team competition is actually pretty good. And I love that there is jeopardy until the very end, and that is one thing to play well.
It can be good, but only you and a couple of guys like you are portraying the permutations in a simple enough way that create the tension.
Yeah,
and I looked at Irk recently.
I'm surprised at that. I got to say,
really good at saying, "Here's what you've got to do." It had nice graphics and had good coloring, and it was like really clear, and it helped you become more nervous. You're like, "Oh, I see what I got to do." Yeah.
It was either I think it was the Irk actually. Now that I think about it, and they had, I don't know, 5 or 6 teams. And the next 3 rounds played out, and it was like, right, to finish in the top 4, they need to do this and this and this and this.
Yes.
And this. I was like, where's Super Rugby Pacific doing that? Like,
we need
commission.
Andy McGeady, is that his name? It does a wonderful job with graphics, and he took the Irk and made it even cooler. So I think we should. Hey, Andy, come and do Super Rugby for us. You and him collaborate.
The point there is though, like it shouldn't be up to us. It shouldn't be up to us. And I'm a little bit, I mentioned, and I said it on Sunday as well, I'm a little bit surprised that there hasn't been, even within Australian commentators and pundits and social types, that, that there hasn't been more made up for the fact that the Brumbies they're in the frame to finish first here. Like, we should be, doesn't matter how likely it is, there's a chance for an Australian team to finish first here, and it's a decent chance too. So why aren't we talking that up?
The reason why we should be is because being first is everything. Like, it changes the odds by 6 points. So
the last time the Brumbies finished first, they won Super 12.
Yeah,
the previous time they finished first, they won Super 12. It's huge.
Yeah, in a destination final like we had at Tottenham, it's different. But when you can make someone come to Canberra and play on those home grounds,
absolutely,
you guys are a tough beat.
Absolutely. So look, we'll see how it plays out. As I mentioned before, the Blues losing to the Crusaders last weekend is what's opened the door for the Brumbies to finish top 2, and they'll be absolutely eyeing it off now. The Highlanders and the Rebels will play finals, but still could finish anywhere between 6th and 8th. The Force, Crusaders, Moana, and Fijian and Drua are all in the frame to finish 8th. So it's incredible. Quickly. Best Australian, best New Zealand team at the moment. Consult the index.
It's Brumbies. It's on the
the Brumbies side. Are back.
Yeah, it's on the New Zealand side that it's weird now. I don't know.
Is it still loose?
Showed, they have an Achilles heel. They
Blues
showed that I think it's the Canes now, and I think the Canes probably, our friend Jeff Parks would say, has had the most complete team over the course of the season, even though the Blues have this, really prickly defense at times. Yeah, I think maybe the Canes are showing that it's the more complete team. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that, because I was surprised at the way the Blues lost to the Crusaders.
That is their bogey team, though. I mean, they always struggle.
I'm not at all surprised the Crusaders won that. Like, the Crusaders getting up for the Blues is like Queensland getting up for New South Wales. Like, there's no surprise.
It's like Bullstormers. It's you throw out the records from the year. And actually that's also why for Harry Wilson's team playing, like, you could see the Waratahs doing something really ridiculous.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The only good game of the year.
Of course. Absolutely. The irony would be, their 3 wins in a year are, the Crusaders twice in Queensland. So Look. Anyway, we will be back to discuss the final round of Super Rugby Pacific on Games of the Week later on this week. So don't miss that. The European finals obviously played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London last weekend. The Challenge Cup on Friday saw Gloucester going down to the Sharks 36-22. I have to concede I haven't seen a whole lot of that, but I sort of looked back through the scorecards and it looked pretty one-sided. I think lost this a couple of late tries.
Yeah, a couple of late tries that kind of flattered them, but the Sharks were definitely loaded. It would have been a catastrophe if they lost. It was a game they had to win. It puts them into the Champions Cup for next year. So it was an all-in kind of thing. It was a classic game. The scrum was dominant. Vinnie Koch and Oxen Incha. So apparently my brief scrumming tutorial for
you've scrummed him into form. Yeah, good.
Because they just monstered Gloucester. At some point, your favorite referee from France said,
Monsieur, and
he said, there must be a solution, but it is not from me. What is your solution? And Gloucester was like, the whole front row got subbed right then. Oh. Boom, gone.
There must be a solution.
That's the solution. And actually, it was a better.
Oh, that's gold.
It was like 3 or 4 straight penalties, and it was just gone. And there was Fepsi Buthelezi was sort of the bolter 8, if you're looking at sort of Charlie Cale for South Africa. Fepsi Buthelezi, a great name, a wonderful historic name for the KwaZulu nation. And he just was, Pierre Spies reincarnated with a little bit of a better fend. Yeah, he was very athletic. And he just, like Charlie Cale, could sort of run away from backs.
Start on the wing?
Buthelezi did that. Number 8, and just burst through, and they just couldn't tackle him, and the backs couldn't catch him. Right. But it was really a classic finals game in some senses, that the set pieces won the Sharks that game. Yeah. So
interesting that even Etzebeth has said outright, from a club point of view, that is the biggest highlight of my playing career, which means it's
from where they were.
Probably ranks at about 5 or 6 overall, but still,
that's such a dismal season. It's one of those things.
The Sharks,
Plumtree just said, that kickstarts us for next year. So
yeah, that has to be the one. The Champions Cup final on Saturday was just an absolute classic. To lose 31 lengths to 22 in the end, needed 16 of the 20 minutes of extra time before it was really apparent that Toulouse were on top of this. We're going to definitely win this. Whereas, 15 all at full time of regulation time, and then even the first couple of periods of the first 5 or 6 minutes of extra time was like, this could, early on in extra time, commentators were saying this could go to kicks.
Yeah, and I mean, they also, Dupont and his friends all had to stand there looking up at the sky while Frawley's kick, the drop goal, wide open, uncontested, sailed by, and it was just, it was a meter left. So in the end, the thing could have been a very different story. It was really nice to have Birch on, Bernard Jackman giving us the preview, because I liked watching the game better having had Bernard's behind the scenes. Yeah. Because I was more informed, I was looking for certain things. So here's how I would wrap it up. I think Toulouse was better, had the edge on all the even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. And then also 15, strangely, I think Kinghorn outplayed Hugo Keenan, who's been one of the best fullbacks in the world.
So let's touch on this. Sorry to jump in.
I don't think it was 9. I don't think it was Dupont over Jameson Gibson Park. Just because I think Jameson Gibson Park had one of the best games on the field. It was the difference between Intermac and Ross Byrne was too good. And Birch said, Ross Byrne's going to have the game of his life.
He needs a big game. Yeah, and he didn't quite. So Anton Dupont was named man of the match. And the rugby... The Rugby Writers Guild, if you like, is doing its best to find if there is a limit on the superlatives you can use to describe a player, because it's been going nuts from, I would say, halfway through regulation time to now. It's just been the next. Well, right, I'm going to top that previous guy's opinion, and everyone is just going out of their way to say absolutely extraordinary things about Anton Dupont. But I'm with you. I don't think he would. Let me be absolutely clear here. He was excellent.
Yeah,
and maybe he did change the game at the back end of it. But was he the best player on the field?
He wasn't the best scrum off in the first half because Jameson Gibson Park outplayed him. Dupont got stripped.
I said to you,
he missed the 3 or 4 passes. He missed a tackle. He wasn't that good, guys, and we have to be obvious and let's be clear about it. That we're saying he's a great rugby player. I think he plays a different way than anyone else. He plays like Faf de Klerk with a better haircut and more stamina,
and better over the ball presence.
But his actual like 9 to 10 regulation ribbon, gun. It's not that good. It's not a good boss.
His last 25 minutes of regulation time and certainly all 20 minutes of extra time, he was excellent. There is no question about that.
And he has stamina.
No question about that.
Stamina.
But he was able to have the impact that he did because of Jack Willis making 75 tackles, because Blair Kinghorn was absolutely phenomenal at the back and kicked everything. Bar the one he missed.
I think so. I think the Bullies won, and I think Bullies beat nice guys in knockout games. I think Jack Willis. I'm not saying about their character as a human being. I'm saying they were bullies on the rugby pitch. So Jack Willis, Nicola Craw was unbelievable. Manny Miafu.
It felt to me that Dupont was the easy selection as man of the match. And that was going to make bigger headlines.
I think it was selected before the game started. I think they already had all their lines ready. Was selected. Man of the millennium.
Anyway, I'm really glad that I got to see it live. It was a fantastic game. It was great.
The passion of it. And
the reactions in Toulouse afterwards was just absolutely phenomenal. I'm absolutely envious of something like that. I would love to be part of something like that.
I love a game like that. It's 2 tries only. It was hard to score tries. It wasn't a game for the attacker. It was 13 penalties going over, and a drop goal would have won it. And that drop goal would have
very nearly did
etched into history. It would have been the greatest moment.
Absolutely. But we wouldn't have been talking about Ross Byrne being the greatest player ever to have laced a boot ever in the history of the universe. So anyway. So this weekend coming is the final round of the ERC, round 18. We've got the semi-finals of the Premiership coming up, and the penultimate round, round 25 of the top 14 as well. And we'll go through all of those in games of the week. In Japan, mate, I can tell you that the Hunter Heat and Ricoh Black Rams won their promotion relegation series to stay up in Division 1 of League One next year. Urayasu D-Rocks beat Kintetsu Liners over the 2 legs, so they'll go up to Division 1 this year. Lower down, Kamashi Seawaves beat the Kurita Water Gush to stay in Division 2 as well. Ned Hannigan's old team, Suntory beat Cannon 40 points to 33 in the third fourth playoff on Saturday at the Chichibu. And then Toshiba Brave Lupus beat Panasonic Wild Knights 24-20 at the National Stadium in Tokyo to claim.
That was a weird ending, wasn't it?
It was a weird game.
Huh.
Sorry, don't mind me. It was a weird finish. The last 2 or 3 minutes, I reckon the Wild Knights butchered at least 2 opportunities. They were held up. They had to try disallowed.
Yeah.
And then they won a late penalty, kick to the corner, line out. They actually fluffed them all. They had to peel it off around the corner. They went phase. Toshiba smashed on the ruck, win the penalty, and that was that. I was like, oh, it's all over.
Percentage-wise, because teams are getting better at the contests and the maul stoppage, and because it's an area fraught with peril with refs, I still think a proper, well-coached, top-and-go suite of options where you have
we're seeing that more now.
1, 2, 3, 4 is better. And you look at that with Leinster, by the way. Leinster had a lot of chances to take the 3 or sometimes take the tap. They would go to the line-out and they would lose the line-out or the ensuing maul. And it's just got to do your head in as an analyst when you're telling the coach later, like, we don't have to do this.
Bernard has already written the article saying that Leinster's kicking decisions cost them the game. And
it did. It absolutely did. And so that's why it's harder for me to say it was all about Dupont. I feel like the pressure gets to teams. And I feel like on those 2 teams, and probably with Wild Knights, the mentals, just having the poise, sorry for
how are they going though?
The poise, the composure to, in those moments, be able to make good decisions.
They've lost 1 game all year.
Isn't it terrible? Like, I was thinking of putting the Wild Knights into my Harry Index top 20. It was sneaking.
You were talking about it.
Yeah, because I'm beaten.
There's gonna be surprises. There might be a Japanese team in there. No, there's not.
No, you gotta win your final.
Yeah. Very quickly, Major League Rugby, Seattle are now 3 points behind the damn Houston Sabercats in the Western Conference after
turning into a 2-horse race, man.
Yeah, it's becoming that. They won over Old Glory. In the Eastern Conference, Miami beat the 4th place. Miami beat the conference leaders New England with an 81st minute try. So that's becoming interesting. Still 5 rounds to play, and we'll go through that.
You would have enjoyed your friend Mac Mason pretending he's a rugby league player and just at number 10 running into the teeth of defense and just getting swallowed and just getting he was mosh pitted.
Yeah, that's not a great decision. Anyway, we will be back later in the week with games of the week where we go through comps all around the world and play out the matches we think you should watch this weekend. There's no reason for you to make sure you don't miss out when it drops, and make sure you are liked and you've followed it and you have subscribed. Excuse me. Some news in the last 7 days, mate, to wrap this up. The Fijian Drua announced last week, I think while I was editing the show, that assistant coach and former professional referee Glenn Jackson will take over as head coach next year. That's once
really good.
Takes the Flying Fijian job. Surely that makes him the first person to play referee and coach a top-level professional competition. Surely. And it would have to be. He's a trivia card now. Suliasi Vunivalu was last week suspended for a week for that double trip red card moment of madness in Fiji the week before. The Waratahs confirmed that Darren Coleman's tenure as New South Wales coach wouldn't be extended, which is sort of no real surprise, but frankly, why did it take so long? Munster's record try scorer Simon Zebo announced his retirement from rugby at the end of the season. He's only 34, so that's a little bit of a surprise. Played 35 tests for Ireland, went on the 2013 British and Irish Lions tour as well. He's played 170-odd games across 2 spells for Munster as well. Record try scorer with 72 tries for the Munster men. Queensland, speaking of the Reds, re-signed props Zane Nongor and George Blake on the weekend, and they've both been going pretty handy as well. Zane Nongor, I think, particularly could well be in Wallaby frame later in the week. Jasper Visa, the box and Leicester back row, was suspended for 6 weeks in the end for dropping that Exeter player on his head. I'm surprised.
6 weeks. That comes from his
previous record has counted against him there. Yeah, no doubt. Angus Gardner, friend of the pod, became the most capped referee in Super Rugby history on Saturday night in Canberra.
I hear you had a chat with Angus.
I did have a chat with Angus before and after the game, in fact.
How is Gus doing?
He's good. There was actually a presentation after the game, and both he was given the match ball, and the Brumbies and the Rebels both gave him a signed jersey, commemorative jersey, which was nice. But there was a moment not early on, in the second half where, and Taniela Tupou has actually been cited now for a clean out on Darcy Swain, but in the next phase, there was a high tackle from Tamati Tua, and he ended up getting a yellow card for it. But TMO we can hear it in our radio lines. We can hear you going check, 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 check. One of the only ARs is going Angus, check, check. TMO is trying to tell you check. Nothing's getting through, and in the end, Angus has called a scrum, and it took the near side AR to run on to say, "Mate, we are trying to talk to you. There's something going on." So they go through the process. Tamati Tua goes off for a yellow card for the post match for the high tackle. I said to Angus after the game, I said, "Mate, I was 5 seconds away from having to run on myself and tell you that there was something going on." He said, "Well, cool, it might have helped. It might have helped." Yeah. So in that moment, only for a few minutes beforehand, he'd lost comm. So anyway, did
you actually consider that the first sideline guy to go, "Wait, hold on, I'll be the relay pigeon."
When the AR went on, I said, "Oh, okay, right, they've got the message." So I don't know that I had a conscious thought, but how do we actually tell him? Anyway,
Gus is a preposterously nice guy. From having coffees with him in Paris, you could tell this guy really tries to do his job really well. Anyways, bagging refs should get to know a guy like Gus, and whatever mistakes he makes, it's not because he wasn't trying.
He owns him. He owns him. And one last one for another friend of the pod, Sekopi Kepu, the inaugural Moana Pacifica captain, 110 tests for the Wallabies. Will retire from professional rugby at the end of the season as well. And his announcement was celebrated with a try against New South Wales. So well played to you, Sukopi. Final thoughts, mate? Anything?
I think it was a really good, rollicking, solid pod. I always like having Harry Wilson on. I think he's one of our load stars, you know? We always come back to Harry.
Yeah, strong carrier. But that is episode 16 of the 8-9 Combo done. Check the show notes for the links to the 8-9 Combo on Twitter, on YouTube as well, where you'll find video versions of the podcast every week, like last week, where our video version of our chat with Bernard Jackman did 300 more views than it did audio downloads. I've never seen numbers like that. Absolutely blew us away. So that was very, very weird. So give us a like, a follow, subscribe, interact with the pod directly, rate and share wherever you can, and don't miss an episode as soon as they drop. We did debut number 1 in Germany this week. We're back at number 1 in Singapore, and we're top 10 all around the place: Australia, Italy, Ireland, South Africa, Norway. We're back. We're good in Norway again, which is good to hear. Harry and I remain on the socials in our usual places. And Harry, you'll find his writing on The Roar. You'll find my Australian columns on RugbyPass every week now. And that is where we are. This is the 8-9 Combo, the short side set piece combination you did not realize you needed, coming from the podcast double act you already had. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones. And we'll be back in your ears in a few days' time with Games of the Week.
Komm, spiel mit uns. We're going full German.
It's the Germans. We are the Germans.
I do speak German, so that helps.